Searching for answers.
Here are today's top stories.
Been over 24 hours.
And the local news.
What we see are a lot of things that are going on the earth.
This is Art of Heaven News Talk.
Broadcasting live from WHPC studios in Garden City, New York. This is Art of Heaven News Talk, where we deliver global, national, and local news through the lens of faith. I'm your host, Johnny Brumit, and joining me today are my co-hosts, media personality, formerly known as Chrystina Orlando, but now Chrystina Zelarayan. Yeah, that's what it is. Congratulations, we're going to celebrate her today. And shout out to Noelle Zelarayan, who's in the building too.
How's it going?
Yeah, that's right. So, also on the panel today is my personal business consultant, life coach, and mentor, who's constantly kicking me in the butt and telling me like it is, Steve 2.0 Varughese.
How's it going?
If you want to join the conversation, lines are open at 516-572-7440. First off, congratulations to Chrystina and Noelle.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
There you go.
I mean, I missed the show, but I will tell you, we were having fun. We were in Greece for our honeymoon.
You did it right, brother.
That's right. Nice, beautiful sunsets over there.
But I miss Long Island. It's good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you guys back. I got a team now. I got 2 for 1 with Chrystina over here. This is amazing. So, we keep you up throughout the week. We're looking out. We keep our eyes peeled throughout the week to bring you the biggest headlines of every week. Today is Friday, September 6th. A 14-year-old shooter killed 4 people, 2 students and 2 teachers, and wounded at least 9 others at a high school in Georgia on Wednesday, making it the deadliest school shooting in Georgia's history. And now his father has been charged with murder. Both were arraigned this morning. Yesterday, New Mexico filed a lawsuit against Snapchat, alleging the messaging app's policies and design features are exploiting and extorting children. Go New Mexico, that's all I gotta say. Get them. A Ugandan Olympic marathon runner who just competed at the Paris Olympics died yesterday in Kenya, 4 days after being doused in gasoline and set on fire by her boyfriend. Unbelievable to say, but she's the 3rd female athlete in the country to be killed since 2021. These are some rough stories this week, but I got the team to handle it. Now, can you really believe though? This isn't the first athlete in the last couple of years to get murdered over there in Africa.
It's terrifying. I mean, what I was surprised to read was that this is something that happens to female athletes in that region. Murders, crimes against them.
It's pretty bad. So yeah, let's go ahead with that story. In Uganda, that's where she was representing, but this happened in Kenya, right? Mm-hmm. So she was 33 years old. She just competed in the Paris Olympics and suffered burns to more than 75% of her body. And this happened by her boyfriend, the article said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad. The injuries were so bad that it shut down her organs and she passed. Mm. And, it just makes me think, about choosing who you mess with in life. Being careful about who you get into relationships with. They say that, one of the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is who you choose as a life partner. And I just want to emphasize that reading this story. It's pretty heartbreaking.
I agree with you, Johnny. I think the second most important decision you'll ever make is who you end up marrying, because you're going to spend the rest of your life with them. And I've always been saying, who you choose will either make you or break you. And I want to give more the stage to Chrystina because she is newlywed.
Yes.
And I've met her husband, and seems like a really nice guy, honestly, genuine individual over here. But we can go on for for so long with talking about relationships, and just to realize that they fought over property lines, and nothing is worth dousing someone with gasoline and setting them on fire. It's very heinous and very evil. But why do we get into relationships like this is a question I want to ask. They say if you're not fully healthy, you end up marrying your unfinished business.
Yeah.
And I feel like as time progresses, we try to get healthy. I mean, a lot more people are talking, more vocal about counseling, but they don't seem to get healthy enough to stay away from toxic relationships.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think for so many of us, love is defined by what we're used to, what we grew up knowing love to be. But thankfully, we have scripture to remind us what love actually is. In those moments where we might be confused, we might be torn, or maybe, for anyone listening is in a situation where you feel like something really isn't right, scripture will show you what love really means. So hopefully that's a good barometer for all of us. I know it definitely was for me for my recent marriage, and I got married a bit later in life at 36. So I think it's worth the wait for the right person. And I was fortunately saved when I met my husband. So I'm really grateful for that as well.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, Chrystina.
Yes.
As the only girl here, what would you tell women in your position? Obviously, we're talking about a girl, unfortunately, and there are gender-based violences going on in Kenya.
Yes.
And that's very unfortunate. And our hearts go out to them. What would you tell a girl who's dating somebody or who's in the market?
Yes.
As to, she has made bad choices before. She wants to make good choices, or a good choice
Yes.
now. Moving forward, what would you tell her as to picking a good quality man, as to your opinion?
Yeah, I would say that no matter what decisions you've made in the past or that you even are making right now, there is always redeemability. You can always change your mind on something. If you feel that you are in danger, it's better to be safe and it's better to be alone. So don't ever feel pressure that you have to be with someone, you have to be in a relationship, you have to be married even per se. I would say just take your time and just really focus on, are you in a safe position right now? Because this poor woman, it's too late for her, but for you, there is still time.
And there's probably warning signs too, right? In this relationship.
Oh, I absolutely, there are warning signs for sure. So if there's any tinge of that, I would say just take a pause, take a breath, don't rush into anything, and just be very, very careful, as Johnny was saying. It's a huge decision.
And I also want to add to that, you talked about being alone.
Yes.
I feel like if you're single and alone, it's a lot better than if you're married and feel that loneliness.
Absolutely. I mean, I think as our society is, we're just very focused on relationships and dating, all these things. It's amazing to be single as well, and the Bible does tell us the benefits of that, and there are benefits to it. So just, don't be so pressed for the outcome. It has to be the right fit. That's what I would say.
By the way, I really do appreciate you being vulnerable with your age, because not a lot of girls will tell us.
Oh yeah, I'm proud of my age. I love it.
but you're also, it's a good representation. You're a good representation about how you are in your mid to late 30s, and you waited long enough to make what you believe to be the right decision.
Yes.
I believe that's too.
Yes.
And congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So all the ladies listening, it's never too late. Never too late.
Yeah, choose wisely. Just step into relationships carefully, because things can go bad real quick. Like if you get caught up with the wrong person, it can just steer a person's whole life in a whole new direction.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes people don't get another chance, unfortunately, like this story. And yeah, we got it. There needs to be some things happening over there in Kenya, because the statistics are terrible about women violence in that country. So let's retract here, and let's go back to this 14-year-old shooter who killed 4 people, 2 students and 2 teachers in Georgia on Wednesday. This is the biggest headline in the country. Just this morning, they arraigned the kid, Colt Gray, and his father is now charged with murder. Now, that's kind of different because we saw this once in Michigan where they charged the parents for a school shooting. But now this is a second time, and the law enforcement's really going hard at them.
Yeah.
They're charging the dad with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. And they're saying it's based on the fact that the crazy fact that he bought his son this assault rifle for Christmas.
Yep.
Last December.
Yep.
Last December. That's pretty. Yeah, that's crazy in itself. But the fact that the FBI was tipped off because he was chatting with somebody on Discord saying that he was going to do a school shooting. The FBI was red flagged, notified the local sheriff's department. They did an interview with the kid and his dad before the dad bought him this gun.
Yeah.
Right? This is just all breaking in the last day or two. I have the interview here of the local sheriff's department interviewing the kid and his dad.
I promise I would never say something like that.
So you haven't used Discord in a few months?
Oh, no.
And you're saying you didn't say anything like that?
No, the only thing I have is TikTok, but I just go around there and watch videos.
Now, doesn't he sound like the average kid these days?
He does.
I mean, it's sad. He's 14 years old. And I just gotta actually make a point here. First off, there's something called consequential thinking. And we hear a whole lot about how the brain isn't developed these days with these young kids. The frontal lobe or whatever is not developed enough to where these kids have consequential thinking. Okay, so I just want to get the message out there to everyone. And if you're over 24 years old or whatever, just relay the message to these younger people under 24, I believe it is. There's something called consequential thinking. Think a little bit before you act. Your actions will have consequences. This kid is going to spend the rest of his life in a 4x8 or an 8x10 if he's lucky. You know what I mean? If he's not thrown in the shoe. I mean, I saw the arraignment today, and the guards that were standing around him were grilling this kid. I noticed that.
Yeah.
The guard, the security, the cops, the court officers were just grilling this kid as he's getting, read to by the judge. So it's just sad. It's really sad. The whole kid's life is thrown away. He set the gun down and surrendered. So it's not like, a lot of times the perpetrator is not alive anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's very sad what happened. So there's a lot of ways we can look at this. And I was doing some research, looking at this topic, doing research on Columbine, doing research on Sandy Hook, and now this story. What I realized is what you said is correct, John, in that sometimes children do not know how to differentiate between reality and fantasy.
100%.
And that divorce needs to be somewhat of a reality to them before they act out. So I have a 14-year-old nephew, and I can't picture him doing anything like this. Now, Columbine, when I was doing my research on it, they were heavily invested in video games that were first-person shooter. And then with Sandy Hook, the person carrying out the unfortunate circumstance, his mom would take him to gun ranges to kind of get his frustration out because he was autistic.
Yeah.
And with this young man, his dad would take him out hunting.
Yes.
And then not to mention that gift that he was given in Christmas, the AR style gun. When you give kids this idea of shooting somebody without the consequences, without the reality of their actions have consequences. And unfortunately for this person, he killed 4 people.
Yeah.
And he's in trouble, And, John, you're right. We have to somewhat convey the message to the kids that are growing up. Like, just because you can do something in virtual reality doesn't mean you can carry that out in actual reality.
Yeah.
And whatever is going on in your mind, going about shooting someone isn't going to solve your problem. And so that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, the warning signs were clearly there. He was caught saying that he was going to threaten to shoot a school previously. So it's very sad that the father... I was reading that the father bought the gun for his son because he wants to keep him off of Discord and video games, but it just seems like there's a disconnect for a hurting child. Clearly there's something emotionally wrong, maybe mentally wrong, and just giving them a gun or violence in place of what is really needed, maybe love, care, therapy, something like that.
With his family life, it was told that his mom and his dad were living separately, and his sisters were living with his mom. He was living with his dad, and on top of that, I don't know if it was recent, but his mom comes along, scratches up his dad's truck.
Yes.
And there's drugs and drug
use,
paraphernalia found in her car.
Yes.
And he grew up in a not so functional family life, and then not to mention just give him a gun, which probably isn't the right thing to do.
And he's a child, he's a child. And when you're 14 in general, I was so angsty at 14, but imagine being in a circumstance like that.
Right. I mean, it's like the kids killing the kids, and that's so sad to see.
It is.
It's like beyond bullying. And then it was said that he was bullied, but that's not an excuse to go out and do what you did.
No development of the frontal lobe or none of that is an excuse. He's still held responsible, and he actually is held as an adult.
Right.
He's going to be tried as an adult. They said this morning that he won't get the death penalty, though, because he is a kid. But everything else is on the table. Life without parole and all that. But Leah, I'd like to shift the lens on the father for a minute. But even before we do that, real quick, we always wonder, do they feel remorse? Do these shooters even care?
Yeah.
Some of the actions in court, in trials, show otherwise. But with this kid, he's 14 years old. Now, does he feel remorse? And if he didn't, does he now feel any remorse that his father is getting put away for life? Imagine that. He didn't. I don't think he expected that.
Massive consequences, not only for him but beyond. Yeah.
I mean, I can't picture somebody really disliking their father that they would not feel remorse. I mean, he laid the gun down, he surrendered and all. He's like, all right, that's it for me. I want to be known now, or whatever it is was in his mind.
Well, but this like opens up another question for me. Usually, and this is sad to say, school shootings are a suicide mission.
Yes.
Most of them take their own lives at the end.
Yeah.
But he did not. Which means I feel like he just froze. Like, I don't know what to do now. I made a huge mistake.
Yeah. Maybe the reality of the situation hit him when he realized, but who knows?
I don't know how it actually went down that he didn't get shot.
Yeah.
But let's turn the lens on the father for a minute.
Yeah.
I think this man got a bit of his own medicine. I mean, he raised this kid with this attitude, like I feel like the way that when I read the story and I'm looking at this whole picture, the family dynamic, the type of dad he was and everything, I think he really got a taste of his own medicine. I mean, it seems like he was an arrogant, tough guy. Like, oh, you want to mess with me or my family, we'll shoot you. And then this happens. So their whole life is...
I wanted to say something to that, John. I'm not a parent, but I'm sure it's so difficult to raise children. And I don't think anyone can perfectly raise a child. And to an extent, how liable are you to what your kids do? Right? I'm not defending this father at all. I'm not. But what this does now, I think this is the first time a parent has been charged.
At the second.
This is the second
there was
time?
a second. Yeah, there was
okay.
a second.
So what we're saying is your parent, you may be charged for what your kids take out on other people. Which is good for society, because now it holds you accountable to make sure you're not being so authoritative and being a dictator at home, pretending that that's not going to carry out in your child's life.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they say they're doing it, because he's directly connected to letting the boy possess a weapon. And then it came out he actually bought him the thing for Christmas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it goes against scripture sometimes. I mean, I can't say it goes. It's the reverse. It's the reverse situation than that scripture that says the sins of the father.
Yeah.
Like get passed down. This
Yeah.
is the sins of the child getting passed up.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
I think you could be right.
I mean, we are called to raise our children, you know, in a way that is in alignment with God's will. And so I think, like, just as you were saying, picking your spouse is a very important decision. Also, the way you raise your children is important and has consequences on your own life and your generations to come.
Absolutely.
But John, I know, I just want to end with this on the story. There are children that have been abused worse than this kid, not carrying out what he did. You know?
Yep.
I'm just saying.
True.
Yep.
Listen, this happened in Georgia. I don't think this guy would be like this if he was in the state of New Mexico. As we go on to our next story here at Art of Heaven News Talk, if you want to join the conversation, the number is 516-572-7440. All right? That's because New Mexico has filed a lawsuit against Snapchat, alleging the messaging app's policies are designed to exploit and extort children. This story right here. I am cheering New Mexico on. I will literally cheer them on right now because I think these kids, man, they're targeted and Snapchat's just sitting by and letting it happen. All right, let me just explain. They did a couple months long investigation and found 10,000 records related to Snap and child abuse content on dark websites.
Horrible.
They said that Snapchat was by far the largest source of images and videos among the dark websites investigated.
Is anyone surprised by that? I'm not.
I mean, it's Snapchat. How did the thing start?
I feel like Snapchat started in 2011 and it was synonymous. I feel like we were a bit younger. It was synonymous with like, oh, this is going to disappear. Oh, you know, it's like kind of a scandalous thing. Like even if someone would be like, hey, do you have a Snapchat? It's kind of like a little bit of lingo, like flirtatious. You know, it's just, and it's kind of unmonitored and mostly children on there.
Yeah, it's setting it up for a disaster. You know, these guys, basically what they're saying is there's a lot of people out there. They went undercover on Snapchat and they found multiple people with accounts. One of the accounts was called child rape. Okay,
disgusting.
And they actually did this investigation and found that people were extorting these kids, getting them to send pictures and then saying, you know, you got to send money or else we're sharing your stuff. And I mean, the mental health of the children is at stake on top of that. You know, it's just a terrible situation. So I really applaud New Mexico, and I hope they go all the way and, you know, just take Snapchat down, or at least like clean them all up.
Yes, you know? I agree with that. Also, you know, another thing about parenting, it's good to be aware of what your children are up to on their phone.
It comes down to that, your household.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know that the state district court accused the company of violating the state's Unfair Practices Act by designing the app to be addictive, and so they're charging Snapchat because they're saying it's easy for kids to be addictive, and in doing so, they're going to get into all these other trouble because of how your app enticed them in.
Yeah,
you know, and I agree with you, Chrystina, about the parents.
Yeah,
you know, like
do you know where your children are at?
Right.
All right. I want to ask that question again. Do you know where your children are at? Obviously, this couple, these parents in Brooklyn, didn't. Because I'm looking at a brand new story
Good
that
segue.
just came out. All right, here at Art of Heaven News Talk. Okay, a young kid, 9-year-old boy in Brooklyn, was leaving the house at 7 a.m. and his parents thought he was going to school at Success Academy Charter, but instead he played hooky. He went on top of the Brooklyn Project, all right, where he lived. One of these projects. You know how you do in Brooklyn? You hang out on the rooftops. That's what people do. Well, this kid knew the game. He went up there. He's hanging out with his laptop and just chilling, right? And the parents realized he wasn't at school. School probably reported him, and they put out a whole APB, like, find this kid, you know? I love this story. I actually love the story because it was a happy ending. It was kind of a cool, dramatic ending, right? The CBS station helicopter located this boy on the rooftop. And it's funny because they said that they saw him in an orange tie. Now, the uniforms at his school was orange. So they circled the building, keeping an eye on him till the cops came. When the cops came up there, he politely put his laptop in his backpack and went away with the cops. And the cops looked up to the helicopter and waved. And the best part is the cops gave the helicopter a thumbs up as they took the parents down to the children. And the helicopter flew away. I mean, this is going to be a story that he's going to tell for the rest of his life.
Hilarious. I'm sure he thought it was the perfect crime. No one will find me up here on this roof. And then he sees a helicopter. He's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Man, when I did school, I just like hid in my closet until, you know what I mean? But another story is kind of wild, I have to say. Green Day. Did you see this Green Day concert?
Yes.
Get shut down mid-show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is legendary Green Day, and you think of them as this hardcore punk, you know, they were just some bad dudes in the 90s. Well, I watched the video, and this dude with his guitar ran.
Some Scooby-Doo style running.
I mean, he ran like he was scared for his life. So what happened is a drone was being flown over the crowd, and there was a lot of people. Like thousands and thousands of people in Detroit. And I guess it's against the law to run a drone over that many people. Mm-hmm. So the authorities said, hey, this ain't right. Word got down to the stage, I guess, and they just were in the middle of a song and just started running off. Music stops everything. You see this lead singer, you know, run off with his guitar. I was like, what a wussy, man.
Drones are scary, though, like, especially if they don't allow them, you know. Right. They're big, they make a loud noise. I don't know if they can hear the noise, but they are scary.
Speaking of aerial footage, right? It's just like second story that there's something from the top caught you, and then you run.
True.
I think rock stars really just want to play bad, but deep inside they'll just run. You know, no offense to rock stars. But imagine the crowd, though. What did they do? Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah, right. You guys fend for yourselves. Bye.
I got one last question. We'll turn the story to, this rock star couple got married recently, and so I'm just wondering, how does it feel to be married?
It's awesome.
Chrystina, Noel.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
Listen, I was married 2 years ago. They keep asking me that, and my only answer is I love being married. You know. Well, listen, I got a little treat for the listener here.
By the authority committed to me as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, I now declare Noel and Chrystina husband and wife. Come on, put your hands together for them.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys for coming in so soon after your honeymoon, man. I took a year off after my honeymoon, but you guys are right down to board.
It's good to be back.
Awesome. Art of Heaven News Talk every Friday, 3:30 to 4, 90.3 WHPC. Have a blessed week. Till next week's headlines.
God bless.
God bless.